Yeah, that's it. But we shouldn't.
Moving on. Next question.
Who knew trivia could be so dangerous?
You're watching Movie Talk. Gangchu! I'm Jason.
And I'm Pierce. Welcome to our show. We are very excited to introduce some of our favorite Korean classics to you. Before we kick off, can you explain to our viewers what Gangchu means?
It means 2 thumbs up, highly recommended. So if I say dokjeon, wanjeong, gangchu, it means dokjeong or believer is highly recommended, and you should go and watch it if you can.
Absolutely. So, you're very good at spoilers. The spoiler there being that is indeed today's film.
Yeah, so it's Believer, or Dokjeon is the Korean title. It was released in May 2018. It was very popular. 5 million viewers went to see the film. Created a lot of media attention. It's a remake of Johnny To's Drug War. It stars Chojinwoong. He plays a narcotics detective, and he's trying to track down this somewhat elusive and nefarious drug king called Mr. Lee. He teams up with this low-level member of this organization, played by Ryujunyeol. And then there's this explosion at this drug lab, and as a result, he's able to come into contact with this Korean Chinese criminal, and as a result, try and get Mr. Lee out in the open.
Why watch?
Well, I mentioned it earlier. It's incredibly thrilling. It's a great thriller. It's full of these interesting set pieces, engaging from start to finish. And the acting is really quite extraordinary. Sometimes a little bit over the top, but I think it's all part of it.
Right? Yeah, that's really part of it. The cast is fantastic in this film.
It's a great ensemble cast. And it's also part of a trend that we saw in 2018 of remakes. So Korean directors approaching or seeing films from all over the world as they do, being filmmakers, and finding a way to make it work for the Korean market.
Sure.
We'll get to talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, this is one of the reasons I chose the film. It's a really interesting remake.
Key scene number 1.
It takes place earlier on in the film. We see this woman getting out of the car, and she's walking towards the building, and suddenly there's this explosion, which throws her right back, and that sets off a chain of events that allows this detective, it gives him an opportunity to be able to actually meet or find out who Mr. Lee is.
And it also kind of gives us an idea. There's this mysterious Mr. Lee figure. We don't know who he is.
It could be several of the characters in the film.
Absolutely.
이 선생이 누구냐? 이 선생이 어디 있어?
Key scene number 2.
Right, so kind of the hotel switcheroo scene. You have Chojinwoong kind of playing one of the drug dealers in that Mr. Lee's operation, so he's undercover. And they're going to meet this Joseondeok Chinese-Korean gangster. And it's really just a very fiery, combustible sequence that happens. And then what happens is at the end of the scene, there's another meeting. But this time, Chojinwoong is now impersonating the Chinese-Korean gangster, while the real drug guy from the organization, played by Park Hae-jun, comes in. And so it's kind of like a replay of the same scene with a very different expectation. It's incredibly tense. It's great. It's one of the most memorable parts of that film.
Key scene number 3.
This is my favorite scene of the film. This mission brings them down to the salt flats somewhere in the countryside in Korea, where Ryujunyeol's character is bringing Chojinwoong again to these methamphetamine cooks in this little makeshift lab. And they're both mute characters, and so they're all communicating through sign language. And they're absolutely hilarious.
얘 못생겼어. TV 나오는 사람하고 똑같아. 아니야. 뭐가 아니야. 뭔데 너. 뭐. 조용히 해.
And there's a scene that happens basically straight after that where they're having dinner outside, kind of like a bit of a barbecue. Ryujunyeol's character kind of mentions how he's a bit sad because his mother died in the explosion. And so then they have
a connection with her as well.
Right, absolutely. And so they all kind of do a very ad hoc little, chalie, like a memorial service.
In terms of the mood as well, I think it's really well captured. I think
Ryujunyeol
he really finds those moments of humour and also the moments of more somber occasions that really kind of come through, and he's able to put this together to a scintillating effect.
Trivia.
segue from the great cast of Cold Eyes to the great cast of Believer. We've already mentioned Kim Ji-hyuk, but it's really, the whole cast is really, really amazing.
Here, yeah, you have Kim Ji-hyuk, you just have some Cha Seung-won as well, who plays this really quite dynamic character. Sometimes, yeah, like I said earlier, a bit over the top, but that's all part of the point.
The casting is very much over the top, and I'm pretty sure that especially like Cha Seung-won, you know, is trying to go for this kind of very kind of like unctuous, over the top, slimy character, and it works really well. And so you have these very contrasting, like big, showy performances, and it becomes almost this kind of competition of who is tougher and tougher, because you're trying to figure out who is this antagonist, you know, who is this Mr. Lee. So I think that's a very effective and conscious choice.
Yeah.
Pop quiz. What sign is drawn by this girl?
It's an infinity loop.
Yeah.
Where was the spy cam hidden?
Necktie.
Oh, not necktie. It's the clip, necktie clip.
What's the name of the dealer's dog?
I think it's Laika.
진돗개.
Maybe that's I'm confused because Laika is the name of one of the drugs in the film.
이름이 뭐예요?
진돗개요. 라이카.
Where does the final scene take place?
I don't want to answer. I
Outside
think we
a-
both know the question. We don't want to answer, but I don't want to
I
say.
can say this. I can say this. Outside a house.
3, 2, 1, jump!
Believer is a riveting remake of Johnny To's Drug War that is full of set pieces and thrilling action and features a great ensemble cast.
Believer, a kinetic, explosive action thriller of over-the-top performances from a fantastic cast, one of the best you'll see in a Korean film. Enjoy.
That was good. Thanks for watching.
If we've whetted your appetite for the film, and we hope we have, you can watch it in a link that you'll find down below in the description. Believer,
Ganchu! Bye-bye.